بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. So Hadith 21. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من لم يدع قول الزور وعمل به فليس لله حاجة في أن يدع طعامه وشرابه. So Abu Hurairah narrates the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, whoever does not leave falsehood. Qawl az-zur is when you, like if someone calls someone to a court and they give wrong testimony, or they're lying in testimony, or they say that person did it and he didn't do it, and blaming someone else. So that's what it means by falsehood. Can't really translate it to one word actually, qawl az-zur. What is in Arabic, but it's very difficult to put into one word really. Falsehood, the same ballpark, and action upon it, so doing some sort of action based on falsehood, going lying, giving false testimony, this sort of thing. And Allah does not need him, Allah does not need anything, it's just verbally. It's just Allah is in no need of him to leave his food and drink. So it's almost like saying someone's still going to fast, they have to be good. So we should be good all the time. The only difference between sin inside Ramadan and outside Ramadan is inside Ramadan. It's the same sin outside Ramadan as the same as inside Ramadan. Sin inside Ramadan is worse. Hadith 22. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من نسى وهو صائم فيأكل ويشرب فليتم صومه فإنه أطعمه الله وسقاه. So Abu Hurairah narrates in the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever forgets while fasting, eats and drinks should complete, so completing the blank, their fast, as Allah fed and quenched them. So for example, if someone's fasting and then they forget fasting, and they drink something, and they remember afterwards that they were fasting, then that person has broken their fast, and then they can complete their fast. Their fast is valid. The only problem is, for example, if someone breaks their fast on purpose, thinking that he wakes up and thinks it's midnight, for example, breaks his fast, and then he opens the curtains and realizes it will be stuck. If it's in that situation, the person has to make the fast up. But if it's in this situation, we just simply forget, which sometimes we do, and he drinks something, then he just has to make one fast. No, he doesn't have to make any fast. The person who breaks on purpose has to make a fast. So that's a good point. So that's also mentioned in the fiqh book as well. So basically what a person should do is, it depends on the person. If the person is like a strong person, for example, or like a strong person, and fasting is not going to hurt him that much, then you should tell him. But if it's like a weak person, for example, then what you should do in that situation is maybe not tell them. You wait for them to maybe just finish that bite or something, and then tell them something like that. So the problem is, once you tell them and they've made the bite, you have to get that bite out. Right, Hadith 23. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من أفطر يوما من رمضان من غير رخصة فلا مرض لم يقضي عنه الصوم الدهر كله وإن صام رواه الإمام أحمد. So Abu Hurairah narrates the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, whoever breaks the fast of Ramadan without dispensation or illness cannot make up the fast even if fast all time. So all time here, dahar kullahu, potentially could mean all year, and it could mean all time as well. So it's got two different meanings really. So it could mean all year or all time. So if someone's weak, for example, if they're going to get into severe hardship, then the person can break their fast, for example. So like an old person who's really weak and they can't fast, So in that situation, they give 2 meals to poor people in Pakistan, for example, and feed poor people. That's probably a better way for them to do it. Or if they've got some permanent illness or something like that. It depends. Well, you can do that. I mean, let's say if someone's on medication, if they don't take the medication and they're going to get into hardship, then yeah. So that's dispensation. So the dispensation is that, if someone needs medication and they can't do without it and they'll fall ill, then, if they get some advice from, a doctor, so a doctor, it doesn't have to be a Muslim doctor, but someone who understands what fasting is and how the importance of fasting. So if someone understands the importance of fasting, then you can get the advice from that doctor and say, look, I need to fast, can I still fast and take this medication? And you can say, well, no, it's not a good idea because someone might extremely ill, for example. Okay. And how old is he? Oh yeah, I mean, he could probably just give the medication, I think in this situation, probably would be better just to give the fidya, the poor person 2 meals a day. Do that. You have to do it for 30 days. That probably better. I mean, if it's shorter, even in summer, even in winter, it's about 8 hours, I think. It's still going to be difficult for him. If he needs to take a medication every 4 hours. So maybe it's just better just to give fidya, probably better. Because that way you can finish off the fast as well. If the fast is missed. Well then next year we'll see what happens next. Is that clear? Is that okay? Alright. Hadith 24. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كم من صائم ليس له من صيامه إلا الظمأ وكم من صائم ليس له صائم إلا السحور. So Abu Hurairah to the Messenger of Allah said, how many fasts? There's nothing of his fast except thirst. And how many people pray in the night and have nothing except insomnia? So it's really about people who have not really still hurting people and doing bad things, and they're not changed anything. Nothing's changed about their personality or anything. So they're just fasting, and there's no positive change in that person, unfortunately. Hadith 25. Aisha Hamza bin أنا عائشة رضي الله عنها قال أن حمزة بن عمر أسلمي قال للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أصوم في السفر وكان كثير الصيام فقال صلى الله عليه وسلم إن شئت الصام إن شئت فافطر. فعائشة أنا Hamza bin Umar al-Aslami asked the Prophet ﷺ, shall I fast on a journey? So he said, if you can fast if you wish, and you can leave it if you wish. So if someone's travelling, for example, they can fast if they want to, or they can leave it, but they have to, the thing is they have to start travelling before Fajr comes in, before the time of the fast comes in. So they have to start travelling sometime in that time for them to have that dispensation of not fasting. If they travel before, then they don't have a dispensation for fast. So if they're going like a long way, start before the time of the fast comes in and they have to start travelling. So that's the only problem really. 26. أنا عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصوم حتى نقول لا يفطر ويفطر حتى نقول لا يصوم وما رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم استكمل صيام الشهر قط إلا رمضان وما رأيته في شهر أكثر منه صياما في شعبان. So Aisha رضي الله عنها narrates the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said fasted until he said he would not break it. So this was part of the miracle of the Prophet, that he could fast continuously without eating. So obviously we can't do that because it's not allowed for us to do that. We have to break fast and eat.
the Prophet could do that as part of his miracle of his noble being. And he did not fast until we thought he would not fast, so he would. So this is just saying he was just changing the time. He's changing, sometimes he fasts, sometimes not fast. Sometimes fasting a lot, sometimes fasting a little bit. I did not see that the Messenger of Allah complete a month fasting except Ramadan ever, except Ramadan, and it's actually fast more than Sha'ban. So he didn't fast the complete month, sometimes fasted, sometimes he didn't fast. And Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أفضل الصيام بعد رمضان شهر المحرم وأفضل الصلاة بعد الفرض صلاة الليل. So Abu Hurairah narrates Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said, the most virtuous fast after Ramadan are in the month of Muharram, the month of Allah. The most virtuous prayers after the obligatory prayers, after the five third prayers, are the night prayers. That's Qiyam al-Layl, so that's just extra prayers in the night. Right, Hadith 28. عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنه قال ما رأيت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم احترى صيام يوم فضله على غيره إلا هذا يوم عاشوراء وهذا شهر يعني شهر رمضان. So Ibn Abbas narrates the Messenger of Allah said, I did not see the Messenger of Allah concerned to fast the day of virtue in any other day except this one, the day of Ashura, which is the 10th of Muharram, and this month, meaning the month of Ramadan. So 10th of Ashura has got a few things on important things happen on that day. For example, Jews are free from Pharaoh on that day, and lots of different things, and also the Imam Hussein was shaheed on that day as well. So that's why, so it's an important day. But generally what we do in the Hanafi Madhab, we fast the 10th, because the Jews used to fast on the 10th as well. So the Prophet said you have to be different to the Jews. So we used to fast either 9th and the 10th, or the 10th and 11th, or 10th and 12th. But nowadays I don't think the Jews really fast that, and no one would think that someone who fasted the 10th of Ashura would be considered a Jew, so you can just fast the 10th. And the reason for that is going to be explained, fasting the 10th of Ashura is going to be explained in the next hadith. فعن أبي عباس رضي الله عنهما قال حين صام رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يوم عاشوراء أمرنا بصيامه فقالوا يا رسول الله إنه يوم عظيم اليهود والنصارى قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فإن بقيت للقابل لا أصومن 9. So Ibn Abbas narrates the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that we fast on the 10th of Ashura, and we commanded others to fast. They asked, O Messenger of Allah, this is the day that Jews and Christians magnify. He said, lest I remain in the following year, I would fast the 9th as well as the 10th. So basically, fasting actually, so it's going to be in next hadith, the importance of fasting Ashura as well. So let's just go straight away to the next hadith, which is a big one. عن أبي قتادة رضي الله عنه أن الرجل أتي إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كيف تصوم فغضب رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من قوله فلما رأى عمر غضبه قال رضينا بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا ومحمد نبينا ونعوذ بالله من عذاب الله وعذاب رسوله فجعل عمر يردها هذا القرار حتى سكت غضبه فقال عمر يا رسول الله كيف من يصوم الدهر كله قال لا صيام ولا أفطر أو قال لم يصوم ولم يفطر قال كيف من يصوم يومين يفطر يوم قال يطيق ذلك أحد قال كيف من يصوم يوم ويفطر يوم قال ذاك صوم داود قال كيف من يصوم يوم ويفطر يومين؟ قال ورد إن توقت ذلك. ثم قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم صلاة من كل شهر رمضان إلى رمضان فهذا صيام الدهر كله. وصيام يوم عرفات يحتسب على الله أن يغفر السنة التي قبلها والسنة التي بعدها. ويوم عاشوراء يحتسب على الله أن يغفر السنة التي قبله. رواه مسلم. So this is really explaining why the importance of, obviously we now know the importance of Ramadan fasting, two of the days that are quite important to fast. So the Qatada narrated, a man came to the Prophet and said how to fast. So the Messenger of Allah was angered by what he said, possibly because he might have known already, or maybe the Prophet would just explain it and then he was asking again. But in any case, if the Prophet was angered, the only thing that would happen is his cheeks would go red. He wouldn't actually get angry and start shouting and things like that. His just cheeks would go red, so people would notice that he was a bit upset. But he didn't get annoyed or start shouting and things like that. So if the Prophet got angry, he was just like, he'd see his cheeks would go red, and that was it. So when Umar saw his anger, he said, I am pleased with Allah, my Lord, Islam is my religion, and Muhammad is my prophet. And that's one of the du'as someone can say, Radina billahi rabba wa bi-Islam dina wa Muhammadin nabina. That's one of the good du'as to say. So I seek refuge from the anger of Allah and the anger of His Messenger. Umar began to repeat these words until the anger dissipated. Then I asked, oh Messenger of Allah, how does one fast the whole year? So when the Prophet said, he does not fast and he does not break. So someone who does not fast does not break. Or he said no fast and no breaking. So maybe he said that he shouldn't fast the whole year basically. So he said someone should fast 2 days and miss out a day. So they were saying can you fast 2 days and miss 1 day. And he said if anyone has the strength to. And then he asked should someone fast 1 day and not the next. And he said this is the fast of Dawood. And generally it's not allowed to fast more than that. It's not allowed to fast 2 days running outside normal Ramadan. So someone shouldn't really fast in day after day after day after day. It's going to weaken them too much. So if they want to do the fast of Dawood, but even that's too difficult to be honest for a lot of people. And then he asked how about if one fasts a day and not fast 2? And he said, would I have the ability? So if someone had the ability, then the Prophet said, whoever fasts 3 days every month, in Ramadan to Ramadan, this is the fasting the whole year. So really the whole questions come, but really the answers are here. So fasting the whole year is like the fast of Ramadan, so each fast is worth 10, so it's like 300. And then if you fast 6 days in Shawwal, then that adds up to 360, which is a bit more than the whole year actually. But it's like fasting the whole year, because the Muslim gets minimum 10 rewards for each good action. So the fasting the day of Arafat, so that's the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, equates to, when they go on Hajj, when they go on that plane to seek forgiveness when they're on Hajj, that equates to Allah expediating the sins for the previous and the forthcoming year. So they give the minor sins of the previous year and the next year to fast that 1 day. And fasting on the day of Ashura equates to Allah expediating sins of the previous year. So that's why the 10th of Ashura is a good day to fast. So basically, if someone fasts Ramadan, does 6 days in Shawwal, that's 360 fasts, because each fast is 36 fasts, each good action is worth 10, so 360. And the lunar year is about 11 days shorter than the solar year anyway. So 365 days, so that'll be 349 days, isn't it? But the fast will cover up, so it'll be more than a year actually. So if someone does those fasts, it will be more than a year. So Hadith 31. Abu Qatada, may Allah be pleased with him, reports the man asked the Messenger of Allah about fasting on Mondays. He said, Right, I was born on that day, so daily blank, and sent revelation. Let me just read it in Arabic. عن قتادة رضي الله عنه قال سئل رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عن صوم يوم الاثنين قال فيه ولدت وفيه أنزل إليه. So this is one of the proofs of Mawlid as well, because the Prophet was thanking Allah on that day for his fasting on that day, and that was the day he was also sent revelation. So it's one of the reasons, one of the things for doing Mawlid, that the Prophet was thanking Allah for his for him being alive. So that's why we can do Mawlid, because we're being grateful. Essentially, Mawlid is being grateful to Allah that he sent the Prophet to us. That's really what it's about. And Mu'adh العدوية أنه سئل عائشة رضي الله عنها كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يصوم من كل شهر 3 أيام قالت نعم فقلت لها من أي أيام شهر كان يصوم قالت لم يكن قبلي من أي أيام شهر يصوم. So Mu'adh العدوية asked Aisha رضي الله عنها did the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم did the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم fast 3 days in every month? So fast, sorry, is missing. Sorry. She said yes, and he asked, which days of the month did he fast? I said, do not recall on which days of the month that he fasted. But he fasted what's known as the brightest days of the 3 days in the month, which are the brightest days, which are the 13th, 14th, 15th of the month, when the moon is at its brightest. So he passed those. So these are Sunnah fast. So next hadith. أبو أيوب الأنصاري رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من صام رمضان ثم تبع 6 من شوال كان كصيام الدهر رواه مسلم. So Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiallahu anhu, he's the companion that's buried in Istanbul. So if anyone ever goes to Istanbul, then if they go there, they can meet Abu Ayyub al-Ansari, meet and go to his grave. The Messenger said, whoever fasts the month of Ramadan and follows it up with 6 days, so 60 Muslims in Shawwal, it's as if he's fasted the whole year. Basically, you can do any days in the you can do any days in Shawwal basically. So any day, any however you want to do it. Because those fasts you have to make separately. But the Shawwal, it's probably better to wait. Obviously, you can't fast on the days of Ramadan or 3 days of Eid, and the 3 days of Qurbani Eid. So that's the 3 days after as well. So it's the Eid of that Qurbani, the next couple of days till the 13th, I think it's the 10th, the 11th and 12th. Then you can fast on the 13th if you want to. But on the day of Eid you can't fast, no one can fast on the day of Eid. And then there's those 3 days, because they're like, festivals. And on those festivals you're supposed to eat and things, not supposed to fast on those days. So it can be any 6 days, but it's probably recommended to wait a couple of days and then do it maybe when the fast is a little bit shorter towards the end of the month. You can just do weekends maybe, if it's easier, or half or something to do it. And then if they've done it, then they've got the reward of fasting the whole year. Because as we were saying, that one good deed is worth 10. So 30 fast of Ramadan and 6 from Shawwal, and even if it's 29 and it's 6, that's still 35, it's 350. So even then, it's still okay actually, because lunar year is about 349. So even if it's if you fast 30 days, that's 360 days. I mean, if that's 29 days, that's still 350. So either way, it's okay. So either way, I'll cover the lunar month. Right, Hadith 33. Oh, sorry, 34. عن عائشة رضي الله عنها قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يوم الاثنين يصوم يوم الاثنين والخميس. So Aisha radiallahu anha says Meshalah would fast on Monday and Thursday. So fast Monday and Thursday to keep on. In relation to Tirmidhi on the authority of Hurairah, he said, my actions are displayed on Monday and Thursday, so I love that I'll be fasting whilst being shown. تورد أعمالي يوم الاثنين والخميس فأحب أن يعرض عملي وأنا صائم. So the next hadith. عن أبي الدر رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا أبا الدر إذا صمت من شهر 3 أيام تصم 13 والرابع عشر 15 رواه الترمذي والنسائي. This is what Aisha was saying before, that she didn't recall which day the Prophet would fast. So Abu Dar, in the report of the Messenger of Allah said, "Oh Abu Dar, if you fast 3 days in a month, so oh Abu Dar, if you fast 3 days in a month, then fast the 13th, 14th, 15th." Hadith 36, Abdullah ibn Amir, عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يا عبد الله ألم أخبر أنك تصوم النحر وتقوم الليل فقلت بلى يا رسول الله قال فلا تفعل صم وافطر قم ونم فإن للجسد عليك حق وإن لعينك عليك حق وإن لزوجك عليك حق وإن زوارك عليك حق لا صوم من دهر لا صوم دهر صوم 3 أيام من كل صوم دهر كله صم كل شهر 3 أيام واقرأ القرآن في كل شهر. قلت إني أعطي قول أكثر من ذلك قلت صم أفضل صوم داود عليه السلام صيام يوم وافطر يوم واقرأ في كل 7 الليل مرتين ولا تزيد على ذلك. رواه الشيخان. So Abdullah ibn Amr, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated the Messenger of Allah said, was asked, "Oh Abdullah, I've been informed that you fast all day and pray all day." He said, "Yes, O Messenger of Allah." He said, do not fast. He said, "Do not fast and break it, pray and sleep, as your body has a right upon you. It supports you on the truth. Your wife has right, your visitors have right. Do not fast continuously. Fast 3 days every month, and that is like fasting the whole year. Fast 3 days of every month, and recite the Quran in 1 month. I have strength to do more than that." He said, "Fast, the best fast is the fast of Dawood, which is fasting 1 day and not the next. And recite the Quran in 7 parts every night, and do not do more than this." So generally, the ruling of the Quran being finished, it should be finished twice a year, mostly really. Also, just finishing the month of Quran, once Ramadan is best for everyone, or for the person really. But reading it quickly is not good neither if you can't understand what you're reading. So you should be able to understand what you're reading and saying, and even if you're just someone just reading in English, that is a big thing as well. And inshallah, I mean, there's any hadith about finishing in a different language, but hopefully Allah will give that person reward. We're not exactly sure what they'll give them, but Allah's not likely that He won't give someone reward for finishing in a different language. So Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يصومن أحد من يوم الجمعة إلا أن يصوم قبله أو بعده. So Abu Hurairah, the Messenger said, "Let none of you fast on Friday, except if they're fasting the day before or after." The reason for the fast of Friday is because it's Jumu'ah. And Yom al-Jumu'ah is it's like the celebration of the week, really. So that's why someone should be fasting on a day that there should be Hadith 38. And Aisha رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم تحروا ليلة القدر في الوتر من شهر الأواخر من Ramadan. So Aisha رضي الله عنها said that Mr. Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم said to seize the night of power in the odd last 10 days of Ramadan. 10 if you are missing 39. عن عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل الشعر شدد مرضوه وأحيا ليله وقاد أهله. وفي رواية لمسلم عنها قالت كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يشتهي في عشر الأواخر ما لا يجتهد في غيره. This is a very important hadith as well. So Aisha and Aisha is the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. So that's why she's bringing these information forward. The Messenger of Allah said the Messenger would intensify his worship in the last 10 days. And the last 10 days would enter. So in the last 10 days the Prophet would try even harder than he would previous times in Ramadan. He would pray at night and awake his family. So he would wake his family to pray as well in the night. In the narration of Muslim, she said that the Messenger of Allah would exert himself in the last 10 days more than he would do in any other time. So any other time of the previous days of Ramadan, he would try even harder. So obviously in the last 10 days of freedom from the fire, he would try even harder. So most people do the opposite, they try even less, because their Himla goes at the end of the Ramadan. So the Prophet is opposite, we do the opposite, so we try even harder. So then Hadith 40, عن عائشة رضي الله عنها قلت يا رسول الله أرأيت إن عملت في ليلة القدر ما أقول فيها قال قولي اللهم إنك عفو تحب العفو فاعف عني. رواه أحمد. Mashallah said, "Oh Mashallah, if I see the night of power, could you teach me what I should say in it?" He said, "Say, oh Allah, you truly pardon." So pardon is blank. You love to pardon, so pardon me. Oh Allah, you truly pardon. You love to pardon, so pardon me. Allahumma innaka afu tuhibbul afu fa'fu anni. Hadith 41, Aisha radiallahu anha قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال يعتكف الشهر الواقع من رمضان حتى توفى الله ثم اعتكف أزواجه من بعده. Aisha radiallahu anha narrates the Messenger of Allah used to retreat in the masjid. So in the masjid in the last 10 days of Ramadan. So this is itikaf until Allah took him. So until he passed away, and then his wife used to retreat in the masjid after him. Generally, for the ladies, it's not good for them to be in the masjid for those last 10 days of the night. It's disliked. If they do it, it's valid. So it's generally disliked for a woman to be in the masjid in itikaf. And what the women do, generally they do itikaf in their homes. So what they do is, for example, they'll have a room, for example, and they will just stay in one part of the room, and stay there, and have the itikaf in their home. And then they would pray there in like on a room somewhere. And they pray there, read Quran there, and just stay there for the 10 days. And then if they need to go to the toilet or have a shower, whatever, so they would just stay in that room. So that's how women would generally do there. And then people would they wouldn't go and cook for anything. They would just, someone would have to bring their food and things. So that's the way women generally did cook, which is in that one. The last hadith. عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنه قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم أجود الناس بخير كان أجود ما يكون في رمضان قال جبريل يلقاه قال ليل من رمضان يعرض عليه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم القرآن إذا لقيه جبريل قال أجود بخير من ريح المراسلة رواه Bukhari and Muslim. So Ibn Abbas narrates the Messenger of Allah was the most generous person in goodness and was more generous in Ramadan. So he's more generous in Ramadan than he was other times of the year. Jibreel would meet the Prophet every night of Ramadan to review the Quran. So when he met Jibreel, he was more generous than an unrestrained breeze. So that's really in terms of what they say in the Arab world, in terms of someone who's extremely generous. They say like a breeze it's coming, because the breeze cools you down. I mean, we can relate to that now because it's very warm. The breeze cools you down, and it's gentle, and that's how the Prophet was. He was a very gentle person. He was a very generous person. He would just give without. Other people would be stingy, but he would be the exact opposite. He would keep giving people, because that's part of a generous nature. So he would just keep giving and giving and giving. And that's the final hadith in that collection.